The trouble is what's going on is not going to slow down. And so this ban makes a lot of sense to me, and we're going to talk about why. But before we get any further, check it out right here. Japanese shrine featured in Ghost of Tsushima. I said it right that time, huh? Yeah, I said it right that time. In Ghost of Tsushima announces full tourism ban after an unacceptable act of disrespect was committed by foreigners. Okay? Now, that's it. That's it for the information that has come out about this specific incident, but there have been many before it. One such incident resulted in the banning of South Koreans specifically from being able to go to the shrine. Now, if you do not know, this is Watasumi Shrine, and this is in the Nagasaki prefecture. I think that's what it is, Nagasaki. It is in the north of Japan, and it is about 50 or so miles, 60 miles away from Busan, South Korea. So there is a lot of um, who owns this attitude that's been going on over many centuries over this particular piece of land. And as you know, Shinto shrines are not exactly celebrated in Korea. As you know, the nations historically have not had a great time together, despite the U.S.'s best efforts to, remedy that situation. There are just some things that are not meant to change. Okay, there are just some things that are not meant to change, and it's just how it goes. And this is a product of that attempt to change it. So here is this story that comes to us from the Sankei Shinbun. And this is a nationally circulated Japanese newspaper. This is not some guy's blog. This inherited Jiji Shinbun. I think that's how you say it. I think it's Jiji Shinbun. And that was the previously most widely circulated newspaper that was started in the 1800s. And I believe Sankei has been operating since 1955. I think Sankei, that's when Sankei took over, like inherited all of that into the Sankei Media Group. I think that's what happened. It could have been later in the 60s, but I want to say it's 55 is when they bought up Jiji Shinbun. I think that's how you say it. Again, nothing to do with the story at hand, just verifying where this information comes from. It is in English because I asked Google to translate it, so the story is obviously going to be a bit topsy-turvy because, well, Google Translate can't make up its mind what other nations say, despite these languages pre-existing English itself. But whatever. It's amazing sometimes, really. On the 23rd, Watasumi Shrine in Tsushima City, Nagasaki Prefecture, announced on Instagram, rather, that they would be banning anyone other than people who wish to worship from the shrine's grounds. Um, the way in which inbound tourists destroy places, things, and people that Japanese people cherish is nothing less than the collapse of Japanese culture, is what is said here. Now, again, Google Translate likes to get a little colorful with what they've actually said here. So we do have uh, the original post here explaining what has happened. So this fellow right here. So this was back in the original conflict that happened earlier last year, I believe. I believe it was in 20, I believe it was in November of last year. I could be wrong. It may have been in 23, but I believe it was just this last year that South Korean tourists had gone in to the Watasumi Shrine, and they, of course, as you see here, they were littering, they were causing a ruckus, and in particular, they were docking without permission, meaning their tour boat just rolled up one day, like, "We own this. What's your problem? Get out of the way." It is also a space where they have been like not exactly respectful to the space. So what you see here are just some people sitting on the steps of some wooden structure. Well, what this is a shrine, and they are sitting on the steps as though, again, it is some cabin at a RV park, and there's a swimming pool 10 feet outside of the camera frame, right? And that again, this is not being treated as a religious space, but rather a field trip to just go visit while you're on vacation to this kooky Japanese place. And this, again, practiced exclusively by South Koreans in this particular incident. This is just this incident alone back in November, I want to stress, okay? This is when they banned South Korean tourists. So again, we saw this up here at the top. It's been plagued by Korean tourists, but it is not this incident that is unspeakable, if you will, is not the issue at hand, rather, or at least not the shrine is not Watasumi Shrine has not come out and said that this is to blame, that these South Korean tourists have again infiltrated and caused a ruckus, but rather what they want to do is they want to ban people who are there to play around, to goof around, to take their funny Instagram pictures, to be loud, to be a tourist in a space like Disney World, if you will. It says right here, it's still open to people who want to pray and have a feeling of reverence toward the Japanese gods. Okay. So a bit of like personal aside here on this, the unbearable pain of having a sacred place destroyed. I believe that they're right to do this. I think that this is appropriate to step through and say, no, people who are here just to take pictures and say that I went to the hold it. It looks like 73% of you watching this aren't subscribed. Time to click that button. You know where to find it. The Ghost of Tsushima spot. No. Sorry. If you want to go there and observe that it is a Shinto shrine and the purpose of that space and to learn about its history in person, vastly different intention. Because your intention is not to go there to celebrate that you went to a place from a video game, but rather you were inspired to go there by a video game to pay respect and reverence to that space. Very, very different conversation. Okay? Very different reason and intention, and that is exactly spelled out right here in this very simple sentence. All right? Now, you remember that the National Diet of Japan and even the prime minister, who is effectively their president, Japanese president, had to come through and speak about this, had this address not this specific incident, but incidences just like this, okay? So it says here, Ishiba had to come out and address the graffiti. He had to say that they're not going to stay silent on this whole issue and that they want the local culture respected. Now, we're going to continue to see this kind of abuse practiced in Japan because the Japanese people are non-confrontational, okay? It is not that they are to be pushed around. It is just that Japanese society places an effort on a cohesive nature, okay? So when someone's creating chaos, this person is either crazy or will be dealt with by appropriate authorities. So thus, the average 9 to 5 Japanese person does not concern themselves or make an attempt to stop these abuses. Rather, they avoid that person in order to avoid being harmed by them, embarrassed by them, or roped into being part of the problem they have created, okay? It's an entirely different attitude about people disrespecting spaces. Whereas as you saw in South Korea with Johnny Somali, there was a man who was willing to run full force and take Johnny Somali, just like run at him, throw his feet at him, kung fu movie style, right? Again, I know Korean movies have a different term for that, but I'm an American and I'm filthy like that. But anyway, what you're looking at is you're going to see this government respond to the shrine. To cut this kind of simple on this, the government will respond with how the shrine has taken action. Just as the thumbnail suggests, this is righteous. This is righteous, and the government is most likely going to follow along and put this into law that people caught being tourists in religious and cultural spaces, like O.R.C.A Castle, for instance, will be charged with a crime. That just simply going to this space to say that you have will not be good enough. You will not be allowed to go. You must go with the intention not to convert to Shintoism, not to bow down to foreign gods, but with the intention of observing the majesty of what these people have created in respect to their gods. And I think every nation on earth should practice this. Ask yourself, what the hell are you doing inside a Notre Dame if you're not there to worship? Oh, the architecture is so beautiful. The architecture inspired by a god you don't respect? A god you don't believe in and openly mock? That architecture? Why are you going into a mosque? Oh, the pretty stained glass. Oh, the pretty archways. Oh, they've got all their neat chants, right? You go in there as a person who is a skeptic of the faith that is celebrated in that space. Are you going to go to Jewish temple and say, wow, these are neat scrolls? No. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to go into these spaces, you should rather, you should go in there with a reverence of these spaces. Same thing when you go to a Buddhist temple. Don't go taking selfies with the monks. If they want to come over and converse with you and have that happen, great. But if they're in the middle of meditation or if they're in the middle of their martial arts practice, their regimented martial arts practice, and you just walk through with your damn selfie stick, like, oh, look at these guys. Buddhist guys, look, they're all bald. Yeah, no, get out. Jail. Super jail. Like Mars jail. Okay? Like this, again, we've got to draw a line. And I think it's perfectly fine for the Japanese to capitalize on these incidences and say no more. Our way of life is not a gigantic Disney World for you to come around and destroy whenever you feel like it, then go home to your sad little lives. Now, I've thought about going over to these spaces, okay? I've thought about going over and visiting Japan and going to these spaces and whatnot. And I said, no, I don't believe in Shinto gods. I don't believe in their faith. I don't mock it. I don't live in abject rejection of it. I don't hate it. But as an outsider, my presence in that space is not a good idea. I would not want someone who is not a worshiper of Christian God to be walking into Notre Dame. Because they're there as a skeptic. If they are moved and inspired by the Spirit of God to go there, much different than to go in there and be like, oh yeah, look, that's where Ezio did a backflip. Oh yeah, over here, that's where that guy got punched in that movie. Real cool. No. I'm sorry. I'm one of these people that my tolerance is at a limit, okay? I'm sorry, guys. All right, I'm going to be that guy. You don't have to be, but I'm going to be that guy. If you made it this far in the video, I'll know, because you'll be down in the comments section telling me all about this. Because I've had it, all right? I'm at the end of my rope. I'm at the end of my, that's okay. That's just them expressing themselves. I'm done. I'm done. That's how people who want attention get it. Mommy and Daddy had no time for Junior and Sally, stuck them in front of a tablet, and now the only way that kid, who is an adult now, knows how to get attention is by creating negative action. And so they travel the whole damn world like Johnny Somali, creating this negative feedback loop that gives them the attention their parents didn't give them. So no, I don't want them in there. If they don't worship God, I don't want them in there. If they don't worship Allah, I don't want them in there. If they don't worship Yahweh, I don't want them in there. If they're not there to observe the many Shinto gods, to respect them, to understand that this is a faith space, that this is a religious space. This land is sacred that they are walking on currently. If they're not there to observe that, at the very least, the bare minimum, they're not to be there. And they should be punished for being there. So yes, I believe that Japan should act on this. I think every nation on earth should take a page from what Japan distills out of this entire disgusting incident over how to deal with this. You don't need to ban South Koreans. They have their own problem with the South Koreans. That's not the world. You don't need to ban South Koreans specifically from spaces, but people who want to practice disgusting things, who want to be disrespectful to those spaces, who simply are there to check it off a list, no, go away. Take a picture from the outside, you're fine. You can say you went here by taking a picture there. Make sure you're in the picture so it doesn't look like a screenshot from Google Map, okay? Okay, from the street view? All right? All right, you can do it. There's plenty of other things in Japan to do. There's plenty of other places for people who want to be idiots to go hang around. You can go run around in that dumb little go-kart thing. Have fun. By all means, run a red light. I dare you. But that's just how this whole thing is going to go, okay? As things continue to melt down around the world by people from the West and other cultures that simply have decided it's okay to treat everything like a giant theme park, it's going to continue to cause these cultural upheavals. It's going to continue to obliterate what it is to be a human being. Ask yourself right now, if we continue to just open the wide, go ahead, put your cigarette butts out right there on that cross. That's perfectly fine. Sure, you could change your baby right over there in the mosque. That's perfectly fine. Front row, go ahead. No, that's not going to fly. These are not spaces meant for that. No, no, no. And you know it, and I know it. Even the people who are objecting down in the comments below, all they have is free expression. Fine and dandy. Freely express yourself elsewhere. Okay? You can freely express yourself anywhere else, in fact. We have these places where you can't freely express yourself. They're called prisons. And if you continue to freely express yourself, like running around naked in the street, you'll end up in jail. This should be treated in the same fashion. This is a public indecency issue, and it should be treated with the same kind of venom and veracity that running down the street naked is. Understand that while you don't respect these spaces, other people do. And it's time that we stop seeing the world as ending right here at the tip of our goddamn noses, okay? The world goes way to hell beyond you and me and everybody else, okay? It's going to keep ticking, spinning, the sun's rising and falling long after you and I are gone and turned to dust. And we need to start thinking like that, as opposed to, I want to take my selfie at the Ghost of Tsushima shrine, and these guys won't let me because I don't want to be respectful. Okay, cool. You're going to be gone in 70 years. We need to start thinking on the 1,000-year level about how to deal with this. And that means putting restrictions on people who want to be assholes like Logan Paul, like Johnny Sumali. You know who I'm talking about. If you're a tourist that observes Japanese culture, this is going to be a problem for you. They're not going to have a problem with you. They made it abundantly clear. If you want to come in and be respectful to what's going on in that shrine, great. If you don't, bye-bye, you can't be there. Very simple. But let me know down in the comments below what you think about this, guys. And as always, especially, good luck out there.